this meeting of the Coolidge Planning and Zoning to order. We're going to go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you all stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Okay, for the record tonight, rather than call the roll, Member Boland called and said that he could not be here this evening, as well as Norma Jean Mohammed and also Nitsa Verdugo London could not be here tonight. But we do have a quorum this evening with our chairperson for the evening, William Pertzborn, Member Williams, Member Marsh, and Member Hill. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Approval of the minutes, November 4th and February 10th, 2016. Does anybody have any comments or any?
Make motion to be approved.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Old business. There is no new old business. New business. A. Cool PZ 160302. A rezoning request initiated by John Deacon on behalf of JD Financial LLC for approximately 13,940 square feet of land located at 244 West Coolidge Avenue, changing the zoning from General Industrial I-2 to General Services C3, legally described as follows: lots 15 and 16, Block 8 of Coolidge, amended according to the records in the Office of the County Recorder, Pinal County, Arizona, recorded in Book 2 of Maps, page 4. Director Miller.
Thank you. As you mentioned, this is a request by John Deacon, who is here tonight on behalf of JD Financial LLC. And as you mentioned, this is a rezoning request for the property there on Coolidge Avenue. This property is across from the former Harlow's restaurant, and if you look out there today, it's where they have the sign for the Bubba's Barbecue. This is immediately across the street from that. Recently, the city removed or raised a very large building immediately adjacent to this property. There was a building there that was severely dilapidated. The roof was coming down, windows were broken out, and that has since been raised, and now it's just a concrete pad. The property for consideration tonight on this rezoning is immediately east of that old building that was torn down. The rezoning request was initiated primarily because we had our applicant has had an interested party that would like to go in there and potentially set up a daycare center in this building. This type of activity is not a permitted use in the heavy industrial zoning district. And as the staff was looking at the proposal, and you look at the area, this property has much more appeal for commercial uses than it does for industrial. It is definitely a commercial looking building. It has basically zero setback in front. The building has been broken up into what looks like separate little storefronts. It has all the character of a commercial building with very limited parking on street because of the year it was built. There's some room behind the building, potentially if they do a daycare in the future, which would be a separate case altogether. We're not asking for the daycare permission tonight. This is strictly a rezoning. But potentially they could have a little storage in the back, maybe a play area for a future daycare if that use does go forward. But even if it doesn't, this space really has a whole lot more potential for commercial establishments, which would not be allowed in the I-2 heavy industrial zoning district. This proposal does go along with our general plan requirements for the area. It's consistent with that. And we are recommending this evening for the Planning and Zoning Commission's approval of the proposed rezoning request. We did have a few people call with interest in what was going on here. As I explained to them the nature of the request, no one had any concerns related to it. I know Tim took a call from a property owner across the street who actually is contemplating a similar request because his property is also zoned heavy industrial. The bottom line is the use is appropriate for this facility, for the area. I think it will have a greater appeal for redevelopment as a commercial establishment rather than a heavy industrial establishment. For that reason, the city staff is recommending that the Planning and Zoning Commission forward a favorable recommendation to the mayor and council for rezoning this property to C3, General Services, from General Industrial I2. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, we're just doing that one little partial right there?
That's all we're doing right now. It actually consists of lots 15 and 16 of Block 8. So there's actually 2 lots, 1 parcel. It's all under 1 ownership.
It's right next to it to the west there, that second partial.
Immediately to the west of this property is where the city tore down that old building. There was a large building that I think was formerly used as a parts place. I think auto parts more recently, maybe some painting.
Yeah, that used to be a Studebaker dealership.
Yeah, I think that's the one. In fact, I think there may have been a grease pit in there at one time. It was a building that was beyond repair, and the city, the former owner, quit paying taxes, property taxes on that. In fact, Mr. Deacon, I think, at one time looked at maybe acquiring that property as well. And it was just that property, that building was beyond repair. And when you look at the back taxes that were owed and everything else, we ended up having to, as a city, tear it down and lien the property for the demolition costs.
Is that entire block on that side industrial?
Yep, if you look at the staff report, you can see that that whole area is, yes. The pink area on the last page of your staff report, you can see everything from basically east of 3rd Street on either side of Coolidge Avenue is zoned I2, in heavy industrial, not light industrial, heavy industrial.
Is there any history on there when that was changed from commercial to heavy industrial?
I think that may be in here, but I think it was when the zoning ordinance was passed most recently and the official zoning map was approved. Let's see here. It's part of the original town site of Coolidge. Tim, do you know, did you put that in here? I'm trying to remember if you had the history of the zoning. It would have been done whenever the city adopted the new zoning ordinance and new zoning map. And that was in 2008. I'm sorry, 2009.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? I have no questions. I actually agree with you. I think this would be excellent.
Now, if we're rezoning it for C3, and then later, if the daycare comes in, it has to be rezoned again?
No, daycare is actually a conditionally permitted use in C3. Okay. So they would have to come back before the Planning Commission for a conditional use permit if they decide to pursue the daycare center at this facility. But the first step would be to rezone it, and the next step would be the conditional use permit.
I just think it's kind of weird making an island of just that one C3.
Well, this applicant, it's a little different, but it does conform with the general plan, and I really would like to see other property owners in the area follow suit.
Agreed.
One to the south wants to do it. I think that we'll find more that will want to do it as they find, right now, if under the current use, there needs to be almost an incentive. Like, John's found a prospective tenant that wanted to go in there as a commercial tenant, and we had to tell him no, and not without the rezoning. So that's generally what's going to, unless we take a proactive approach and try to approach the property owners and get them all to agree in one comprehensive rezoning request to rezone it. And I would suggest that if we rezone, we probably ought to rezone all the way over to, I'm thinking the railroad track.
At least to Main Street.
Maybe Main Street for sure. Main Street for sure, but possibly the railroad track. We'll have to look at those other
You have a couple
uses.
industrial buildings there on Main Street, don't you, on the south side, or on the east
On the
side?
north side and east of Main. Yeah, at least to Main Street, but maybe even a little further than that.
Okay, actually, since we keep bringing it up, I'm going to raise the question one time because we keep mentioning the daycare. Would that be a sound thing because of the location of the VFW right there across the street?
No, it's going to waste on the street. It's blocked on the street.
Well, a block, yeah. I wasn't sure what the zone was.
I don't think that would be
Be an issue or not.
no,
The
I don't.
parking actually goes almost to, well, it goes up to the corner, so.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, even though this isn't really for the discussion of daycare, but I that's a good,
We kept bringing it up, so I thought.
yeah, and I don't see that that would be a real
The
problem.
liquor, 300 feet or?
I think that's only if you want to put a liquor store in, you have to be at least that far away. If a daycare wanted to go in and those types of facilities were already there, that doesn't force the removal of them. It's the other way around.
Gotcha.
Will approve daycare regardless.
Later. All right, so that'll be a later
That's
discussion.
something
Later discussion.
Future discussion if.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions?
If not, I'll make a recommendation.
Mr., well, we
to
got a,
approve.
well, actually, it doesn't say that this is open to the public, so we don't need.
Well, I think it is. I think we need to, we did advertise it as a public hearing, so we should open it up for anybody in the audience. Of course, the applicant is here tonight.
Mr. Deacon, would you like to say anything to the group?
John Deacon and
You
Well,
can
it's
step over
right
to the
there.
microphone there, that'd be great. Just give us your name.
John Deacon. I'm the managing partner for JD Financial. And just give you a little background on the building. We acquired that. We did a loan probably 8 or 10 years ago, and with the downturn in the market, we ended up owning the property. We improved one of the units about 4 or 5 years ago with the anticipation of build it and they will come. And of course, the market just hadn't turned around. But just lately, we've got probably numerous calls in regards to possibly leasing that. And I was always under the impression when we did the loan that it was zoned commercial. And when I approached Rick about it and Tim, they said, no, it's industrial. So we needed to go through this process in order to make it viable for ourselves and for, I think, the community.
Okay.
And I've had the pleasure of dealing with Mr. Miller for the last 30 years.
Quite a long time.
Yeah, we've known each other for a while. And I just want to compliment also Tim. Just had numerous conversations with him and did very, very helpful, the whole team.
Wonderful.
Any questions for me?
I don't actually have any I agree with you. I think that area would be better commercial.
The only other thing I'd like to mention is, I think that you're seeing more interest in Coolidge Avenue since the improvements to Coolidge Avenue. It has done a tremendous, it's changed the whole character of that area. Some people resisted the idea of having the street narrowed up a little bit, but when you start putting in those kind of improvements and making those improvements, it really shows the city's support for reinventing the downtown, redeveloping it, investing in that infrastructure. Central Avenue of late is going to make a real difference in the way people perceive the downtown and the city's support of the downtown area. So I think that's really why we're seeing a lot of those improvements. And the next, just for the record, since it's being televised, is that the next Main Street is the next section following Central. City's already in the design process to complete Main Street from Coolidge Avenue north to actually Pinkley.
My next question.
So that's in the works.
The inquiries that we've had over the last 2 or 3 years since we did that improvement have all been for commercial use. There's nothing been industrial about it. As a matter of fact, the couple that are interested in the daycare center, just a nice couple, I think they're going to proceed with it. They're working very diligently on trying to get the permits and all the different requirements for the state with that. So I think they're going forward with that. We hope they are anyways. I think it'd be a nice addition, as I said.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Deacon? All right. Well, thank you very much for.
Thank you. And thank you for all coming down for my for this part of it too. I didn't know I was going to be the lone guy here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I'm going to open it up to the public now. Tim, you're the public. Huh? Okay, we're going to close the public part of this. All right, do I have a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve COPZ 160302.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. All right, we move on to reports from the chairman. I have nothing to report. Didn't know I was going to be here tonight, so
Didn't know you were chairman.
didn't know I was chairman either, so that worked out well. Growth Management Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I don't have any problem saying that because you were chairman for so many years, and we appreciate your service and that of Member Williams. Also like to recognize tonight, sitting over here to my right, we have a very a young lady, Tanda, right? It's kind of neat to see the young people show an interest in our municipal processes, and maybe this would help encourage her to pursue a career in planning someday. And I think it'd be great if we have more and more young people like her come and attend our meetings to see what things are, they see how things go. So welcome, Tanda.
I figured that she was our new lawyer.
Well, I won't make any comment being on television. We've been very busy in the Growth Management Department. While we don't have a lot of agenda items here for you, and we haven't had, that doesn't mean that we aren't very active in the department with code enforcement, with the issues that we've been talking about, with community cleanup projects. A lot of the things that we do when things are a little bit slower from a planning and zoning standpoint, we are out there, trying to implement a strategic vision of the mayor and council. They've just recently had a strategic retreat to talk about their highest priorities, community marketing, economic development. We're focused on all of those areas. I've been kind of assuming a couple of roles, just of late, so I've been really burning both ends of the candle, working in the absence of our city manager who just retired. We wish him well, but kind of serving in the capacity of city manager, acting city manager in his absence, as well as the things that I'm doing in the department. And I appreciate the staff here and all that they've done to make that my additional load go a little easier. Tim Hansen, he's been handling a lot of these zoning applications, and I appreciate him, much like our applicant mentioned his name tonight. I appreciate his efforts. There's a lot of things happening. This weekend is going to be a busy weekend. They've got the Country Thunder and the Galloping Gooses having a very large event. If you've been down there, they put a nice shade canopy over their patio, kind of created an old Western facade, which is really actually giving that place a little more character. And I think we'll see a lot of benefit from these type of marketing and promotional activities. I know that they've done a little bit better with the rodeo events that were approved over there, but this biker event as part of Arizona Bike Week, the Galloping Goose is actually working in conjunction with Jugs and Strokers, and you saw something in the newspaper about that today, hopefully, but we're wishing them well on that event, and please, we want to welcome the people that will be coming into the city of Coolidge probably for the first time, and hopefully the local businesses will be reaping the benefit of these type of promotional events. With that, I don't really have anything else to say.
Main Street event coming up.
I'm sorry, yeah, the Cruise Inn on Main Street. That is another thing that's coming in. Thank you. Cruise Inn on Main Street, that's going to be May the 7th, and it's from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's a Saturday. And we'll be closing off going to council Monday night for a street closure between Central Avenue and Harding. Those two blocks will be blocked off, and one of the primary sponsors of the Cruise Inn on Main Street is Tequila Jacks, and we'll have a lot of classic and show cars there that'll come in and cruise in and park on the street there, a barbecue competition. There'll be several other vendors. Our Collector Car Club of Coolidge, which John is very much affiliated with, will be helping with this event, as well as another car group. I'm trying to remember, John, what was the name of that group?
It's the group that does Santan
Yeah, they do a lot of other cruises and car shows.
COPs. It's
That's okay.
they donate a lot of the money to
Yeah,
children's.
they do it for charitable events, but those kind of activities, much like the one we had with the Artisan Village, in partnership with the Casa Grande Ruins National Monument, the Coolidge, this is Cotton Days. We just had a recent huge event where all of those entities were working together in partnership to have a lot of activity in the community, and so I think the more of that we see, the more it puts Coolidge out there as a place to come and enjoy, and hopefully will attract new businesses to the area as a result of people visiting and seeing what kind of amenities we have to offer, and also what kind of opportunities are out there. Been working with a potential hotel developer as well as another restaurant possibility here, so those are exciting activities people are showing some interest in.
How about New Circle K?
New Circle K, we're still awaiting their the red line comments. They're putting together their final plans for their building permit. There's another Circle K, as I understand it, going out at Signal Peak Road and 87 on the reservation, but they are proceeding with this one. We're working with ADOT to get permits there. They're making the corrections to the Public Works comments and planning comments. I suspect that those plans will be in here anytime.
Very interesting. Okay.
Is it?
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, one other thing. I do have.
One call to the public here.
I'm sorry, I forgot one other thing.
We have one
I'm
event.
sorry, I forgot about this. I forgot about the most important thing. I would like to recognize publicly this evening two of our commission members whose terms have expired, and they've graciously continued to serve until their replacements are interviewed and approved by the mayor and council. But tonight I have two plaques here, one awarded to Donald Williams for being an outstanding planning and zoning member. We couldn't do it without you. Awarded this 6th day of April 2016. And the other one to our former chairperson, and you may have been a former chairperson at one time, weren't you, Don? Both of them have been chairpersons of the Planning and Zoning Commission, but also one for member Bill Pertzborn, William Pertzborn, for being an outstanding planning and zoning member. We couldn't have done this without you. We appreciate your service to the community. On behalf of the mayor and city council, and as acting city manager, I would like to present both of these plaques for you so you can hang them on your wall, and it's the least we could do in payment for all your years of service. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You gotta quit to get one of those?
Okay.
I didn't get one. This is still attending.
All right, we'll do a call to the public. Does anybody have anything that they would like to bring to the group? No, since there's no public, we'll close the call to the public section. And now do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.